Hi friends, and welcome back! In this video, we check out the Vile Three Monkeys restaurant at Hanuman World and wander through the buzzing Phuket Sunday market. So let's loosen our belts because there's a lot of food to try in this one. Before coming to Thailand, we did a lot of research on really fun places to eat, and one of those places that kept popping up on our feeds, especially on TikTok, was a place called Three Monkeys at Hanuman World. A big part of the draw seems to be that you can go ziplining here, which is pretty unique for a dining spot. We skipped that part since we already went ziplining at Flying Hanuman in Kathu. If you're curious about that awesome adventure, check out our other video where we fly through the trees. For this visit, we were just here to try the food. Before arriving, we called to see if we needed a reservation, but the woman on the phone told us it wasn't necessary. We could just walk up and get seated. So we took her word for it, but that definitely didn't line up with what we walked into. When we arrived, it was packed, and we had to line up just to get on a wait list. Maybe there was a bit of miscommunication, or maybe they were already fully booked and just didn't explain that clearly, but either way, it was a tad frustrating. They actually have a whole section set aside just for people waiting to be seated. We waited for over an hour, maybe even longer, until we finally got offered a spot in the Japanese-style seating area. That means no chairs, just pillows on the floor, and at first we didn't mind, but the longer we sat, the more our legs disagreed with the setup. To be fair, once we sat down, we could totally see why it's such a popular spot. The view is beautiful. You're surrounded by trees, and you can actually watch people ziplining right past while you eat and drink. Three Monkeys has a massive menu. Actually 4 separate ones. One just for drinks, one for Western-style Thai food, one for Japanese-style dishes, and a whole menu dedicated to desserts. And these aren't little menus either. Each one was packed with options. For our drinks, Mike went with the orange passion juice, and I tried the coconut smoothie coffee. Both of our drinks came in fun-themed cups, which is a really nice touch. Mike's drink was super refreshing, lightly sweetened with a bit of pulp, and we both agreed it was one of the highlights of the meal. My drink started off pretty good, but the longer it sat, the more the flavors kind of faded. It ended up tasting watery and bland once everything mixed together and settled. So sadly not something I'd probably order again. It looks really cool though. For our appetizer, we went with the crab salad, something we thought we'd really enjoy, especially me since I love crab, but there was a strong, almost clashing flavor, maybe the lemongrass, that just was really overpowering the whole dish. Whatever it was, it just didn't sit right and we ended up leaving most of it untouched. For my main, I ordered the crispy shrimp burger, which comes stacked with 2 shrimp patties, lots of cheese, and a generous drizzle of sauce. Visually, it looked like a flavor bomb, but taste-wise, it fell flat. The patties had weirdly different textures, one was kind of crispy and the other was quite mushy. And the shrimp itself was oddly very tough. It was just hard to get past the texture. And the fries on the side were fine. Nothing really too special, just they were fine. Mike went with the beef cheeseburger with a squid ink bun. Visually, it was very interesting, but the execution just didn't land. The bun could have really used more toasting, and it just ended up being super soft. And the patty itself was a bit undercooked for his taste. With each bite, the whole thing just started falling apart. The texture became super mushy and everything lacked structure, which got really frustrating pretty quickly. Flavor-wise, the first bite wasn't bad, but there was this odd aftertaste that lingered in a not so great way. And just like mine, the fries were pretty average, nothing really memorable. So in the end, Three Monkeys was a bit of a letdown. The setting is gorgeous, and we can see why it's all over social media. The food missed the mark for both of us though, and while Mike's drink was actually the highlight of the whole experience, it just wasn't enough to make up for everything else. Even the table next to us didn't seem too thrilled with their meals, which kind of confirmed it wasn't just us. Overall, this felt like a spot that leans heavy on the aesthetics but just doesn't really follow through where it counts, especially with how much everything costs. We're gonna give them a 2 out of 5. Alright, let's move away from something that was a bit of a damper on our food experience to something that totally made up for it, the Sunday Phuket Market. The Phuket Market has a lot to offer. We ended up picking out some lovely Thai apparel while we were here, and this market is absolutely packed with booths and even more people. So if you're not a fan of large crowds, this might be a tad overwhelming for you. You're going to be pretty close to everyone, so just be prepared for that if you do decide to visit. One moment in Thailand really stuck with us. We gave money to a young girl performing on the street, but later overheard her saying she was tired and didn't want to continue, with her parent encouraging her to keep going. This left us feeling uneasy, and we've since learned that some kids are pressured or even forced to perform. While it felt good to help, giving money directly can sometimes do more harm than good. It's better to support trusted local organizations that protect children's well-being instead. That moment was a learning experience for us, but we moved on and kept exploring. As we wandered deeper into the market, we spotted Gelato Go. Mike got bubblegum and I went with Oreo milk cream. Both were tasty, but Mike's was definitely the better one. It was a perfect treat to cool us down on such a humid evening. These are great grab-and-go snacks at a good price, so we give them a 3 out of 5. The amount of food options here is honestly wild. There are so many tasty treats at such low prices. We decided to wander down one path first and loop back up the other side once we hit the end. Along the way, we made mental notes of booths to revisit, but some spots were just too tempting to walk past. Kind of like this next one. This one that we stopped at was a booth selling taiyaki, which is a Japanese fish-shaped pastry filled with sweet fillings like red bean paste, custard, or chocolate. It's crispy on the outside and soft on the inside, kind of like a waffle but in a fish form. We went with the purple sweet potato filling, and honestly we fell in love with it. It had a rich, earthy sweetness, and it paired perfectly with this fluffy, pancake-like shell. Very interesting.
It's very crowded. I'm very claustrophobic.
We saw so many people online saying ice cream rolls were a must-try at the market, so when we spotted a booth selling them, we jumped in line. We went with the raspberry flavor, though in hindsight we probably should have picked Nutella. Ours ended up tasting more like frozen yogurt, likely because of the full dairy base. Still, it was really fun watching them make it fresh right in front of us, and the best part was the frosty smoke that came out of our mouths with every bite thanks to how cold the rolls were compared to how hot and humid the air is. After the ice cream, the crowd really started to kind of get to us, Mike especially. So I suggested we head to the end of the market and find a bar to take a breather. I'm glad we did because we stumbled into a cool little spot called Rockin' Angels. Just as we got inside, it started to rain, so we lucked out with a dry, air-conditioned break while the crowds outside started to thin out. While we were there, we kicked back and tried a few new beers we hadn't tried before, which ended up being a fun little reset. We both finally tried Leo, which is pretty popular in Thailand, and now we get the hype. It's super crisp, easy to drink, and refreshing in the heat. Easily a 5 out of 5 beer for both of us. We also tried a new beer called Sam Meg Light. We think it reminds us most of Corona, but better. It's light, smooth, and easy to sip on while we waited out the rain. This spot was a cool little find. Cool atmosphere, friendly and helpful staff, and fair prices all around. Making our way back into the market and up the other path, Mike grabbed some grilled Wagyu beef. And he said it was f***ing awesome. Tender, flavorful, and cooked just right. He immediately wished he'd gotten more. Great price for such a satisfying bite too.
I couldn't wait to this out later.
Alright, time for a refresher. We grabbed a honey lemon Italian soda, which basically tasted like a sweetened honey lemon iced tea, and we did not taste any carbonation. Either way, it was delicious, very refreshing. Oh, buddy. Now for my favorite booth of the night, the sushi booth. The prices here were ridiculously cheap, and the options were amazing. As I've mentioned before, I love crab. So I grabbed a few different varieties of crab sushi, plus some with corn. And let me tell you, this was easily the best sushi I've ever had in my life. Like, so good, I'm borderline confused and mad about it. I don't know if you can tell by my face, but we've learned that if I really like something, I make a what the f face. I love the sushi here so much that I went back for more. The man running the booth was super nice too. He even remembered who I was the second time around. I loved it so much, I ate it all when I got home, and I sadly threw it all up. It's not because of them, it's because I hit the brink of my limit for food. This place is so hard not to overindulge. There are just so many great options. We were riding on a high after the last few great booths, so we decided to just dive into whatever caught our eye next. We grabbed an assortment of cheese balls with different fillings, and honestly, they weren't all that impressive. Kind of forgettable. Just one of those things that you try quickly and move on from. Another booth, a nice lady offered me a sample of spicy Korean rice cake, something I've been wanting to try since a coworker back home insisted I give it a go. The flavor was nice, and the texture was a bit more chewy and spongy to my liking, but it was still enjoyable. I was starting to feel pretty full at this point, so I didn't get a full portion, but the sample was enough to satisfy my curiosity. Our last stop was a booth we made a mental note to return to, as it was packed all night. This booth sold a variety of 3 different deep-fried goodies: a deep-fried hot dog, a deep-fried mozzarella stick, or a half hot dog, half mozzarella stick combo. This treat looked very similar to something that we tried back at home at the CNE. On top of picking your deep-fried goodie, you can choose to either add potato chunks to it or not, or you can add sauces to it to make it have an extra burst of flavor. We went with a giant mozzarella stick and we dressed it up with some spicy mayonnaise. And I believe it was like a sweet hot sauce that we decided to drizzle on just only half, because the heartburn, you know, thinking about the evening.
The Thai love their spice.
Oh, do they ever?
Oh, Angela.
Yeah, we're gonna have to censor that. That was rated R.
I ain't censoring
You're gonna
censoring
censor that Anyways, this place was delicious. This treat was ooey gooey and loaded with flavor. The owner was a delight to talk to as well, and you just can't go wrong with deep fried cheese. Alright, if you're looking for great food on a Sunday, skip everywhere else and hit up the market. There's so many goodies for so many people, and I really mean a lot of people. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next Thailand video.